Membership Masterminds is, again, it's a community that Propio had created to really just give membership marketing and association folks a space to connect with one another. So for those of you who are new to these roundtables, these are intended to be a spot where you can talk with each other about the specific topic. And even if other topics come up, that's totally fine. Um, but again, it's really a goal to have you guys converse with one another, and we're just kind of here to moderate it. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, feel free to reach out. You guys can also utilize the chat if you would like. If you are not a part of the LinkedIn group, feel free to join that. The intention was to start an online community and have that be the space for membership masterminds, but we've learned that really these virtual roundtables are like the big draw for most of the participants. So we don't see much activity in the LinkedIn channel, but you can always post there anyways, just in case. I'm sure people will still see it and respond as they do. So without further ado, today we are talking about member recognition. Rick, was this your topic suggestion, or was it
It
somebody
may
else's?
it may have been because I know we're always interested in how we can kind of encourage people to get involved in the organization, and they're giving up their time. So how do we show that appreciation? And I'm always open to new ideas. So I'd love to hear
Hmm.
what people do and how it's worked for them.
Cool. So let's go ahead and start there. Is anyone currently running like a member recognition program?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Go for it.
And I am Margaret. I was so excited about this group and I have not been able to make it. So thank you for letting me jump in. It's so great to see everybody.
Yay, welcome.
Yay. I work with teachers, and one of my colleagues is on right now, Meltania, but she might be eating lunch because it's lunch in her neck of the woods, but she definitely is here just listening if needed. ISTE ASCD is an organization that works with teachers, and it's about pedagogy and it's about technology. And so we have an online community. We have a robust volunteer program. And so, Rick, to your point, or to Brittany's very specific question about what are we doing for member recognition? I think everybody knows the very simple, like member of the month, right? And
Yeah.
so that is something that we have found tremendous success with for online community. So we interview somebody, we choose somebody from the community, knowing that we have two communities to bridge because it's a merged organization. We have the ISTE family and the ASCD family. ISTE is technology, ASCD is pedagogy. And so we try to be very deliberate in who these members are that we're highlighting so it can continue to have that celebration of the work they're doing. But the success comes from having a very casual 5-minute conversation that's recorded, and then we put it on the virtual platform. And then people are able to engage with each other and talk to each other and ask questions. And then we can put that out on social too. So the most fun of that interview though is it's not just us talking about how did you get into education or what's your biggest inspiration. Amanda Kaiser Lee, and I know that Prop Fuel is a huge fan of Amanda Kaiser Lee, and maybe y'all even like do work together. I don't know. Do y'all know Brittany? Um,
Yes,
Maybe.
we sponsor, and sorry for those of you who came in late. If you can turn on your cameras, great. I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because I have a head cold that I'm fighting off, so I'm not turning my camera on. But if you are comfortable in doing so, feel free because we love seeing everyone's faces. Yes, we often work with Amanda Lee Kaiser. Dave is good friends with her, and then we support her by we'll like sponsor her books for certain events that she's speaking at. Yeah, so if you guys haven't read Elevating Engagement, it's a fantastic book.
And apologies about mixing the names up, but one of the webinars that I went to with her and Prop Fuel, she shared this check-in generator, and it's brilliant because it's just icebreakers, but done in a fun way. So the magic, I think, of our member of the month interviews, very casual, just like this. If we make a mistake, we continue on, nothing polished, is we ask the questions about education, and then we have a check and generator question. And so they have no idea what the question is. Nobody does. And so complete this sentence. I just won the lottery. If you're looking for me tomorrow, I'll be dot, dot, dot. And it's been so powerful to have these members then share whatever we've heard all about nonprofits and this and that. And it's just beautiful. And so again, I think that really humanizes it. So long-winded answer, Rick, Brittany, to the question, but I think that the biggest key is, and I saw that Lydia just said about few submissions, right? It's people, teachers are very hesitant to brag about themselves. I don't know about other professions. And so the key to this is being intentional in terms of you as the manager choosing, being intentional about saying, okay, I want to celebrate you. And then the other thing is to have that humanizing aspect. So thank you. Sorry for talking so much.
Yep, there's that book, Kathy. I was just looking for it. What we do, so our membership, we have over close to 18,000 individual members. So it's very hard to recognize that many members without not making it really special, right? How can you really do that? And they represent close to 2,800 orgs. So we take the approach of letting our members, especially those that volunteer in committees, we provide graphics that they can put on the link on their LinkedIn that can say, I'm a proud member of this committee, to promote themselves. Our members are those that work on early talent recruiters. They have to be, they're very outspoken. And those that are in career services on campuses. So you have to be extroverts to thrive in those roles. So we found it best to promote that, but we also recognize those that we have like rolling slides or an annual conference that recognize those that participate in any of our service, any volunteer roles.
Natalia, I have to just tell you a side story. I see you're with NACE, and several years ago, my best friend from high school was president of the Philadelphia chapter, or the Delaware Valley chapter of NACE, and I was president of the Philadelphia chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. And it was just a coincidence that we were both trade association presidents at the very same time. And he actually invited me to come and speak to NACE about communications and how these different, hotels and catering facilities and everything else could kind of market, what they're doing. And it was just interesting, So I just had to tell you that side story.
Well, actually, what's funny, Rick, is that that's the other NACE. So we're the National
Oh,
Association of Colleges and Employers, and
oh,
that's the
a different
National
one.
Association of Caterers.
Catering
We get that
executives, yeah.
all the time. So we've actually had to add that to our website because we have people who go through the entire process, and our questions are very related to our group of members.
Right.
And sometimes we'll have to reach out and say, we're going to refund you because you joined the wrong association.
Oh my God. That's
And they are just
unbelievable.
like, I am so sorry. I'm like, we have been dealing with this for many years. We're fine. And that's what happens. So, but yes,
That's interesting.
but very small world though. Nace and
Yeah.
Nace.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to add, following up what Margaret said. I mean, we do to some degree the like the profiles. I've had some of our interns actually interview board members, and we do the profiles on our website. And we've also started doing some Instagram, kind of like really just ask them like two questions, kind of why did you get into marketing and public relations, and then we create a little Instagram thing with their photo, and then there's a second slide with the answers to their questions. And we're trying to build on that and trying to go interesting, move beyond just profiling the board members and now start profiling the chapter members and things like that. But we're always looking for ideas. And I'm thinking of like, so if you did a campaign or you did a project for the association, what kind of reward can you provide there? I mean, it's something tangible as well? Is it an award? Is it a trophy? Is it, a plaque? I mean, is there other things that you could do in addition to, the online recognition?
We do send letters to our members' bosses or leadership
Oh,
if they
wow.
request it, to show, thanking them for their service and what they have given back to the community. Because in academia, that does help with potentially looking at raises, etc., taking a leadership role. So it is some time consuming, but it is something that is very worthwhile and meaningful to our volunteers.
Good idea.
All right, so we've got a couple of comments going on in the chat too. Um, yeah, Kathy, I know you had shared, I remember last call you shared the Instagram campaign. Is there anyone on the call today that wasn't here last week or last month? Alex, Natalia,
I'll try to
Kathy, if
share
you're
again.
comfortable, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say if you're comfortable jumping on and sharing that again, that could be a helpful example.
Yeah, I'm with the American Institute of Architects, the state chapter. There's also national and locals. Not to be confused with the Archaeological Society. I have the same problem. AIA is. I feel your pain, Nace. We do a couple things came to mind, and one is that for each of our volunteers on a council or committee, we run a spotlight on them, and we ask them a couple questions related to that committee work. And then ask if you're interested in serving on a committee or council. So I've got about 60 of these that I run each year. Not everybody does them. That's fine. You don't have to. And then the other one we have, sorry, I've got a menu bar in the way, is our EDI committee, which is ours is called JEDI, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, runs perspectives based on the month. We this summer celebrated architecture school students, but we've also recognized, Black History Month, Asian History Month, veterans. We ask our members if they want to be featured, and we ask them again a couple questions. What inspired you to be an architect? Your favorite project so far? So we ran about 60 of these last year.
Wow.
So it's a good way to, of course, our EDI JEDI committee is interested in expanding the diversity of our profession of architecture. So we show the diversity of our current membership. Hopefully that somebody sees somebody that looks like them and is encouraged or maybe reaches out for a mentorship. But those are the two things that we do that came to mind in terms of I do that all on social media. Then, of course, we've got our standard recognitions. I tried Member of the Month too. Boy, you couldn't get 12 people out of 2,500. So I gave up that ghost. They do like to feature their projects though. So, depending, if there's something that they're really proud of, you just kind of have to find that passion of your members.
But after the last meeting, I borrowed the first slide you showed.
Yeah.
That's what I gave to my interns. I say, I want you to create this, and go and find me some graphics in Canva, and I start interviewing. So we've done 2 so far,
Yeah.
and we're going to do a lot more. And then I'm going to go steal more of your ideas. So I'm going on Instagram today to steal all your ideas.
We have a Google form, and we just emailed it. We're like, hey, we'd love to feature you. Here's the form, and the form gives, has the check boxes for permissions and where to send your headshot. So
Nice.
we try to make it pretty painless because gosh, it is like pulling teeth. So
Yeah.
Do you
Definitely.
transition to LinkedIn? Because our members really don't use Instagram, so LinkedIn is our best social media vehicle.
we actually post to our I use
Yeah.
Hootsuite.
Okay.
Same here.
Our best engagement is probably LinkedIn, but Instagram is a very close second, depending on the demographics. So we use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but I post once on through Hootsuite.
I do exactly the same thing you do. All same 4 platforms. We use
Yeah.
Hootsuite. I try to customize the post to some degree because
Yeah.
you can different content length and things like that, and of course formatting is an issue. So you got to make sure that it fits the profile.
Yeah, most of them, I have to kill off of Twitter. It just doesn't work. But and my
Yeah.
2026 resolution is to get rid of Facebook for our organization too. But of course, it always lives on. So
Yeah.
But
We actually had a board vote whether we were going to kill off Twitter or we were because of all of the, angry discourse and the politics and everything. And it's just like, well, we still have people who go there to get, information. And since we draw attendance at our events, about 80% of the people who come to our events are from outside of our region. They're coming from other countries. They're not part of the politics, so they don't necessarily have that same aversion, perhaps, to Twitter. So we're like, all right, if we have to, we'll stay on Twitter. Even though the board's like, yeah, go ahead, cut it off, man.
thank you for letting me share.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. That was helpful. What else do we have in the chat? Does anyone who's commented something on the chat want to jump out and say anything about their comments?
Yeah,
Brittany,
that's
the other piece of
brilliant.
this is, Brittany, I was gonna say, the other piece of this is board recognition, because as a
Yeah,
board member, you're a volunteer as well. You're not paid, so how do you recognize your
sure.
board members? The only thing we really do is we have two events during the year. We have an annual leadership retreat. It's all day event off site where everybody comes together and we have lunch and we, have a whole bunch of stuff that we do. And then at the end of the year, we have a board dinner where everybody gets together, and that's about what we do. But it's a lot, for people to be, giving up, once a month on the board meetings, and then you're also chairing committees, and you're also, responsible for all these committees. So I'd be curious how other people recognize their board members as well.
You recognize our board members. Every year, the current board is invited to go on stage during our first general session to recognize them. There's the picture, like we take pictures, but we also post it on our social media and our website because not all members attend, your annual conference, which that was the case, but it's the reality. And then when we do our transition board meeting in July, we actually have a special dinner where board members that are rotating off, other board members are staying on, but they have helped or guided, they will actually do a speech. So we have this like board to board activity. It's a longer dinner but it's a really great way to recognize one to the other. Past chairs of our board have lifetime memberships to the
Oh.
organization. So there's, obviously some membership benefits that they continue to receive for their service.
So is this a national chair or like a chapter chair?
We don't have any chapters,
Okay.
so it's for the national organization.
Yeah. But I like that idea of providing that lifetime membership. That's amazing.
It's a small lift, but it's
Yeah,
important to stay connected with the organization.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that too. And it's such a small group of people that you're giving that to, right? So it's not like it hurts.
And apologies, since I am new to, not new,
No.
oh, Alex, you popped off. Were you about to say something?
Yes, I mean, I am new as well, and I work at CEW, Cosmetic Executive Women. So we have around 8,000 members globally, majority in the United States. And I was just going to jump in on the board recognition piece because that's an area where we've recently developed more plans because we really recognize that our board is the people on our board are so high up in their careers. We work with cosmetics. So they're like the biggest reasons why people would want to join our organization. So we've started doing personal interviews with them, videos, capturing them talking about their careers and like putting that across our social medias. We're putting them across our website and having them speak at various events so that you can do connections between our members and the board members. Just because we really want to be able to highlight the fact that by becoming a member of the organization, you're able to get access to these very high level women. And we've seen a lot of success with that because there are some pretty recognizable faces among the group.
No men? No men in that group?
Yes, it is we are not on the board currently. We are a women's organization, but the membership consists of everyone.
Okay.
So Alex, thank you for sharing that. And again, that's so exciting to know where you're coming from. And so since I'm new, Justin, I just saw you come on camera. or just join. I am so excited to be here with not only my membership colleague, but my marketing colleague, Daryl Scott. And so I'm just curious if it's okay, Brittany, like how many of us are membership people? How many of us are marketing people? How many of us are together or separate or anything else? If that's okay. And if y'all already know each other and I'm just the new kid, then sorry, but just curious.
No, that's totally fine. Again, this hour is your hour. So however you guys want to spend it, I love it.
I'm a membership person, but I think every membership person has a degree of marketing because you have to bring ideas to marketing and have a really good marketing colleague or department work with hand in hand. Like we can't be a silo. Like there's no way you could actually do your job. But if you look at my title, it's membership only.
I definitely agree with that too. I joined NapNap as a for the Marcom team, and then about 3 years ago, we actually absorbed the membership department. So I went from doing marketing to kind of doing both now.
And Margaret, I'm a little different. Instead of being at the National Association, I've been at the regional board level, the chapter board level, and our trade association is with public relations and marketing professionals. So that's what I do as a career. And so our goal is providing professional development opportunities for people in marketing and public relations.
Love all this. Thank you. Again, just to get kind of a lay of the land, because collaboration, I say this often, collaboration is my love language. And so I love being able to work with people and hear and talk. And so it's just so great to hear again that what we're, what I'm able to collaborate with y'all. So thank you.
And Margaret, is your organization branded with both of those acronyms?
Yes. We are in a merger, or we have had a merger. Meltania, Daryl, please help me. It's been like 3 years. And so I think we might have a new name coming up, but currently it's ISTE ASCD. ASCD has been around Meltania since, I don't know, for 80 years. ISTE for
80
about
years.
50 years. Yeah, ISTE for about 50. And so there's so much brand awareness with educators that I don't think they should not have ISTE ASCD. But anyway, I'm not marketing. Daryl, that's you. That's you. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that was some of the conversation. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daryl Scott. I'm Senior Marketing Manager of Membership Acquisitions here at ISTE ASCD. And what Margaret is saying is right. Let's just say it's conversations around that, but we have bigger fish to fry before we even reach that. But with saying that, that is still important. What you name yourselves needs to really resonate with your membership and with future members, as well. The acronyms are huge in this day and age. So having both strong brands together right now works, but the leadership will decide, and leadership and the members will decide where we go, into the future with that.
Yeah. I had a question for the group too. How do you guys also recognize past executives and things like that? So one of the things I always found I thought was valuable is to make sure that we kind of go back in history and we say, this past president's still around. They're still involved. They're in the organization. We want to recognize them. So one of the things I did when I was president of PRSA, which is Public Relations Society of America, was on these anniversary, dates, like our 70th anniversary, our 50th anniversary. I hosted both of those for our organization, and we invited all of our past presidents back to those events. So it was like a big reunion because these guys, kind of knew each other through the profession, but they also knew each other for serving on the boards with them. And, we had a TV station come out. We had, it was just like a reunion for these folks. And it was just very important to them just to say, hey, somebody recognized us, And one of the events we did, we actually had brought all them in. We had them have like somebody introduce them. So somebody who was important to them would introduce them, and then we actually provided like a medallion to them, which was branded with our 50th anniversary. And they get to wear these medallions. It was really cool. And then we had a recognition dinner for all of them. So it was kind of a neat way to kind of say, hey, here's part of our history, and we don't want to forget people.
Yeah, we did that for our 60th, and this year's our 70th. I say this year, really 2026. I feel like I'm in 2026 already because that's how I like just whatever. But we are doing that. But in my previous association, we actually spent the time and money to do like sit down and had a conversation to understand like the past president, to have a way to have them tell it in their own story, but have it live on. And that actually has come in handy. I hate to say this, but as presidents have passed on, like the previous association was, I think it was 80 years old. So we had presidents at that past presidents at the time in their mid to late 80s. So when they have passed on, we were able to remember them by actually showing the clip of their interview and what they brought to the association. So, you know, that legacy part of it. And we've had family members reach out to the association and thank us for honoring them in the way that they want to, because that association, you had to have been, to get to the board chair level, you probably would have spent at least 5 years on the board. So that's a real dedication on the part of the member. And we wanted to honor them. So
And did you show that like at what, your annual dinner or your social media? How did you show it?
we would share it during the general session.
Yeah.
But we also took pictures too. Like I think every Hallmark, any anniversary, if there's a way to take have pictures and like show them. We also have a conference microsite, so you're able to do a lot when it's like a different site altogether. Um, and then uh, we've done it on social media as well.
Nice. I think we're gonna start doing some of that as well. I like that idea.
I mean, it is expensive upfront, but I think it's definitely worth it in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times it's a thankless job unless you've been in that president's chair. You commit. I mean, I know I personally commit probably 20 hours a week of unpaid time just serving for at the chapter and regional level. And at the end of the week, my wife's like, "What the hell did you get paid for it?" I go, "Zero." Yeah, so you do it because you love it, or you're committed to the cause, but it is nice that to recognize the people who have preceded you and to say, hey, we appreciate what you've done for the organization, and we want to make sure people don't forget you. I'm just curious if anybody else has done anything like that.
My association had our 50th anniversary 2 years ago, and our president actually interviewed 6 former presidents, going back from 1973 up until the president who was our president during the pandemic. Um, it was like a nice little fireside chat conversation. It's done through Zoom, but they discussed, the challenges they faced as president, kind of the atmosphere of our profession at the time, what changes were they made during their presidency, and then we aired that slow roll through the up until our conference, and then had it available to watch at the conference as well.
Nice. These are all good ideas. I'm stealing all of them.
Yeah, that's the goal here. Share all the ideas, borrow what you can. Only share what you're willing to let your colleagues take.
Yeah.
Another thing that we do
Right.
that's very low level, and our members love ribbons. At our conference, you think we can get ribbons. They love ribbons.
Yeah.
So they get really excited when they are able to put in like past chair, or if they're on this committee. The only time it gets dicey if we have to change the name of the committee and then we have to like throw away how many ribbons, but they love it. So
Ours
that's
have a
another way too.
contest at our annual
Yes, how
convention.
long they can have it.
Yeah,
Yes,
to see how many ribbons. Yeah, on social media. Yeah, it's a contest.
yes.
Yeah, it's same with our association as well. Some people have, it's almost like the train of a dress, but it's, in front of you. You get so long.
Yeah. But it's amazing when you're at the national conference and you're one of those presidents and you've got that ribbon on that people just come up and start talking to you out of the blue, because they recognize what you do and how hard it is and how much time and commitment it takes. And so having those ribbons, I think, is very, very important. And then, at the chapter level, if you have past presidents attending your events, having a past president ribbon, just so people again recognize that you were part of that organization. It could have been 20 years ago and people kind of forget who you are and what you did, but having that ribbon really makes a difference. And it can't cost that much.
The only problem is when you're done with the conference and you're just throwing all the ribbons in a box because
Yeah.
you're like, I'm done. And then you have the next year, you're like, why didn't anyone sort these ribbons?
Right.
So that's like the only pain part of it. But we have, I have to say, some of our really most prestigious awards have been from past chairs of our board or other members of the association that really have made an impact. So we've named those awards after them to keep their name and legacy in perpetuity for like our current association in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that much with our
Oh
with
yeah, we talked
IABC. I
about
do
that
see it with
last time, didn't
PRSA.
we? We have
Yeah.
2 named scholarships. And it's great because those 2 people are still alive. So they help promote funds for those foundation scholarships. So yeah, think about who you can honor for a program or a whatever. That has worked well.
Kathy, how did you determine those scholarships and who to name them for, etc.?
Yeah. Um, the people in one of them, a past president of not just our state, but the National Association. She wanted to promote for emerging professionals to be able to attend all of the state and national events. So we worked with her to set up a scholarship with those parameters that you could use it for registration to attend events, network.
Hello.
The other person was in an inaugural leadership development program we started for young architects. And again, as he's moved through his career, we decided to start a scholarship to pay the tuition of a person. The program's now in the 16th year, so we started it at 15 years. They can apply for a scholarship to pay their tuition to that leadership program. So both of them are people who are mature in their career and reaching down to the emerging professionals.
And this might be something that's out of the scope, so apologies, but we're a nonprofit, right? We don't have a lot of money. I mean, we do, but we don't, it's not like we have Google money or anything. I am not about money, but I understand that we need money to be able for me to pay bills. So has anybody been able to see like a through line? Daryl mentioned he's with member acquisition, right? Has anybody been able to see a through line, or is there any data from your member recognition to member acquisition? And again, I don't know, but like, is there a playoff? Because I know that Daryl is working really hard on storytelling for that member acquisition to be like, no, you want to be part of this ecosystem. You want to be part of this. But I didn't know if other people had done that and seen with member recognition, then having more members.
Recognition, no. Engagement, yes. Maybe that's kind of one and the same, right? So if you're more engaged, and I use the word engagement in different ways. So if you participate in our community, right, online community, I've seen that you're going to be more willing to speak highly of the association and recommend to others and retain your membership. So I'm always looking at it from the opposite, like who's not engaged in it anyway, who's a member in name only. I hate those people. I shouldn't say hate. I love everyone because they're members. I love membership. But those that are just member in name only that do nothing with the association, I need to know why. Why is it? Are you a member because the organization just added you to the membership tier and you don't really care? Like I want to hit, those are the groups that I want to know because they may be someone junior in the tier, but they could be tomorrow's person that is like making the decision if the organization stays a member. So that's kind of I take the opposite approach.
Well, I think it goes
Yeah,
two ways. It's what reasons do they have that they're not plugging in, but also what is the organization providing as value? If you're not providing value, people tune out. So if the only value is you get to go to lunch once a month and eat the rubber chicken, that's not enough. So is it enhancing my skills? Is it providing professional development? Am I getting networking opportunities? Am I getting my next job? What is it that I'm getting out of this? And if the organization can't answer those questions, they really need to rethink what they're doing. And you can survey your members, you can do focus groups, you can do interviews, you can ask those questions. And I think you've got to be pretty straightforward and find out what people do. But the other thing I found too is that a lot of people, are not going to step up to the plate on their own. I have found that, when we have done calls, for volunteers, they usually don't generate a lot of responses. But when I have personally called people and say, hey, I'd like you to chair this, or I'd like you to get involved with that, people are like, absolutely. I've been part of this association for 15 years and nobody's ever asked me to do anything. They're waiting for somebody to ask them to participate. So, that outreach, I think, goes a long way. Now, if you've got 5,000 members or 10,000 members, it's hard to call 10,000 people. But, there's a way to leverage the chapter structure and get people plugged in that way, or do, the surveys or whatever. Find out why people aren't plugged in, what they're missing from their organization.
Yes, yes, yes. I think of it as taking somebody's hand and bringing them along, right? And again,
Exactly.
as a former educator, that's what I do with students. Meltania has this great idea because we have membership close to 80,000, if not more.
Ooh.
And so again, thinking about how we're going to scale up, Meltania has this great idea for on our platform, on our online platform, to have this evergreen form again for people to opt in. But again, it's that talent pathway, talent pipeline. How do we identify, but then also, Natalia, to your point, like working backwards, it's not about the money. I mean, it is about the money, but it's not about the money. But how do we get that engagement and how do we find that data? So yes to all of that: storytelling, pipelines, pathways, everything. But yes, if I could take everybody's hand and bring them along, I would. I just
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things on this too. So, like Rick was saying, just asking them simply like, what are they looking for? There's a couple of things that you might find surprising that come out of that. Some people, um, might be looking for something that you don't actually offer, and that's why they're not engaging. Um, but also they might be looking for literally like just to have their membership on their resume or just to have that certificate hanging on a wall. And so this is kind of like an unpopular opinion that I had talked about with a few other people at the end of last year. It's like, how do you there are going to be members that just don't want to engage with your association, and that's going to be okay because they're going to remain a part of the association because, again, they can put it on their resume, they can put the certificate in their office wall, whatever it may be. But you just have to accept that. And so in order to understand that though, you really have to ask them like what are you looking to get out of this membership? Because for those people, they probably don't want an email a day about all of the benefits that they provide because the one benefit that they're getting is again just putting that wherever that recognition, right? And so if you can ask those people and then segment from there, you can also do check-ins because we've had people say like, okay, so if we ask people what they're interested in and they say nothing and we leave them alone, then what if they change their mind down the road? And it's like, well, then do check-ins every couple of months rather than just sending emails every single day. So check in with where they're at, what they're looking for, if anything has changed. If you offer new benefits, like ask them if they want to see those and maybe take advantage of that. But yeah, there are definitely going to be some members that just, again, don't care to engage with the association, but will continue to be a member because they can put it on their website.
Right.
And
But you're
Brittany,
also
on
an
the
organization.
on the flip side, we have people who are non-members that buy a lot from us. They participate, they will pay the non-member pricing, and I'll be like, this is a benefit as being a member. And
Yeah,
they'll say, my organization, we're not allowed to have membership, but
that's
we'll
so
pay for
interesting.
it. And I'm like, I mean, it's painful to hear that because you're like,
Yeah,
really? But I just mark it and just say, okay, if they are paying a higher premium for these events or whatever, I know not to go after them.
yep,
And I appreciate it because they're augmenting the non-member price, the member price, right? Or if it's free.
right.
So, but it is finding those pockets of, not hearing from anyone is probably the kiss of death. Like, at least you know what their expectation is.
Hmm.
And we've started where if members told us a while that, they're not able to attend our webinar, Well, we're recording these webinars anyways, so we just make them aware if they register and they're not able to attend, we'll send them the recording and they can hear about it, hear the presentation at their leisure. And our members have really liked that change. We were doing it anyways, but we really weren't marketing that to our members.
And a piece of it too is you're an organization of people, you're serving people, and you can't be this, amorphous thing that's out there that people are just spending money on. They're paying dues, and you never see people, you never hear from them, you don't know who the leadership is, you don't know what they're about, you don't know their positions. I think you have to be visible. You have to, make appearances at the local events. You need to be out there. You need people to know who you are and what you're about and what your position is. I think that's a big piece of it. The other piece is you want to be fiscally responsible. That's a complaint I hear a lot from different associations. They think that the associations are just pissing away the money, and they're like, well, where's the money going? And then being responsive. If you have an issue, you have a complaint, you need something, how quickly does the organization get back to you? Right on one of the challenges we're having right now with our parent organization is getting, reimbursements for our board members or paying vendors. It's like, we shouldn't have to wait 6 weeks to get a check. That creates a lot of frustration. So being responsive is a big piece of it. And then the reason I bring that up is because if you're not doing those three things, that creates a disconnect. And, people are going to just say, I'm not going to get involved. And, you can recognize, the achievers, but other people are going to say, no, I'm going to disconnect because I don't believe you. That's my soapbox.
Not the worst soapbox.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's great though. Again, if y'all have not read Unreasonable Hospitality, it's that idea. It's a great book, but I'm sorry, I'm just taking the little notes that I took from it. This idea of like the human desire to be taken care of never goes away. So Rick, to your
Hmm.
quick response, right? Or that making sure that they feel valued and seen is, I think, really important. So getting to that human element is just wonderful.
What was the name of that book you said?
Unreasonable Hospitality. I will put it in the chat.
There's another book too. It's like Disney's approach to taking care of their guests. I can't remember what the book is. It's an older book, but it's a really good book to talk about empowering those employees within the association to make changes, right? Like I guess Disney enables all their employees to, make the most memorable experience, and it means like I think they have like the discretion up to like $100 or $500 to make some sort of situation better. They can do that. And obviously, we can't do that to that extent because we are an association and not Disney. But the idea of, what can we do to make the experience better for our members? We used to sign all our emails, my department, like membership. And I'm like, they don't know who we are. So I just said, okay, put my face and my signature in my email. Like I let them get to know me. I don't want them to know me only when they need to pay dues.
Right.
I want to have this relationship. I want to build a relationship. So if you have questions or have any issues, you can reach me. Here's my email address. And that personality of it is really important to maintaining, especially newer members, that they are seen and they're heard from the day that they start and join the organization.
I agree with you with what we were just saying. I just made a point though. I didn't put any personal email addresses on our website because we didn't want to get spammed. But once you reached out to us, then we would provide our email, and you would be dealing with a person, not a department or not a function. I think you're exactly on the mark with that.
I'll jump in and say one thing I did at a previous association that I worked for. We had scheduled membership info sessions. And, you have butterflies thinking, oh, it's going to be thousands of people on the info sessions, and it never was. But you get good information, listening directly from, some of the membership and some of the actual leaders. This was when I worked at Meals on Wheels America. We listened to different the executive directors of different programs and different things like that would give you valuable insight as well. And it goes back to what was just saying about putting names with faces. That resonates with people. In my years in nonprofit, in the membership, Marcom space, that really does. It's the little things like that that resonates with membership, especially the leadership that's the decision makers, for memberships and different things like that as well.
You're exactly right. I mean, our association decided to roll out a whole new membership level at a different price point. And, so we had a meeting, every month with our chapter presidents around the country. And when they sent the materials to us, I looked through it, a couple other chapter presidents looked through it and were like, "Well, what have you thought about this? Or what's the impact of that? Or what's it going to be from a revenue standpoint for our chapters?" And they hadn't really thought it through. They didn't ask the presidents, at the local level, how this was actually going to work. So they actually had to go back and rethink it and then re-roll and then roll it out again once they kind of worked out the bugs. But it was like, you should have done that first,
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, but
Oh, go
oh,
ahead,
go
Derek.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
I
go
would say
ahead.
we do what your previous organization did, but we also do like a Zoom website overview because
Mm,
there's so much on our website
mhm.
that if you can't access it, I have a low threshold. If I can't find something, I'm not going to continue. But
Mhm.
obviously our websites are our storefront, right? Like there's no
Yeah.
place to go to. So we start with our new members and invite them to join us, and we walk through like, here's the member portion section, here's what you want to look out, maybe bookmark.
Right.
And then we also ask them what are their goals with the membership. So if that is something where they're very specific on one topic,
Right.
because we don't work in silos, we know what's happening in professional development, what's happening in other departments, so we can let them know that these things are coming down the pipeline.
Right.
So again, it's showing that there's value throughout the year for them as members
Mhm.
versus thinking that they need to join just for a discount for the conference or like a one-off. And when I first started, I was like, oh boy, but no one knows the website. So I look like a pro, even though I'm not. And you just make it very personable and people understand, like Zoom can be fickle. And, again, it's just a way
Yep.
of connecting members with us here at the organization.
Mhm. And one thing I also found, Natalia, let me piggyback off of that because that's a
Mhm.
great idea. But if you record that call, then you can splice and dice it in production. Different teams can use portions specific to them on different pages. If you have a member newsletter, hey, this is the latest, to access different things. Because a lot of times, like you're saying, a lot of members, I would say across many of our organizations, especially with people on this call, we have a lot of great content on our sites. But if people aren't going to it, it's for nothing. So you have
Yep.
to lead that horse to the water and say, hey, this is where this is. So what you're saying is you may have an hour session, but when you slice and dice that up and you can produce it in different ways and give it to different teams and utilize that, that can also drive people to exactly where you want them to go.
Absolutely. We started actually slicing it up and including it in our onboarding emails.
Hmm. Yep.
The only caveat is if anything changes on your website. Like
Sure.
we're going through a rebranding, so we have to get rid of all these videos because it's not going to have our nice fancy rebranding. But
Minute it's
it's
published,
definitely
it's out of date.
exactly. So we try to make, and this is where knowing and being really good at partners with your marketing department to try to come up with ideas of like, are there evergreen pages that
Yep.
won't change the URL? Because no one wants to go through onboarding and check like 50 different links. And you shouldn't have 50 different links on one onboarding email. Like you should probably have two max. Like those kind of things. But things evolve, and there's so many pages that it's hard to think that way when you're trying to do your day-to-day work. And that's really where you want to collaborate with other departments to, make that a priority and obviously get things done quicker if you can work together as a team.
I've seen association websites where you've got to jump through 10 hurdles to find the smallest little thing. And it's because they focus on structuring the website according to their department structure, which means absolutely nothing to the people who are not sitting in the office. I used to do a lot of work with municipal governments and building out their websites and sitting down with them. I said, if somebody wants to know, about their trash collection, they shouldn't have to know that they have to go to Public Works. They should just be able to type in the words trash collection or something and find what they're looking for. Same thing applies if you're an association. It should be easy and intuitive. It shouldn't be based on how you're structured because nobody cares. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's why we're going with an outside like web architect
Yeah.
along with member feedback as we're redoing our website, because that's the same thing where people are like, well, we use a lot of internal jargon, right? And we expect our members to understand what our internal jargon is. And so it's kind of like, okay, what is the member experience? Like I keep saying, okay, we don't have Amazon's budget, but we need to have like an Amazon-esque experience for our members because they're going to get frustrated and they're going to go. They're not going to call us. They're not going to email us. They're just going to just like close out of our website.
Yeah. And just something that small is a factor. You say, did these guys piss me off? So why would I want to be plugged in? Again, it gets back to, what's the
The
value
perception.
and
Yep.
do you want, and if people are going to get involved, they got to see a reason to get involved. And if you make it hard for them to interact with you, why bother, right? Why would they plug in? Why would they volunteer? Why would they be involved?
But all right, guys, being mindful of time, we've got about 7 minutes left. Typically around this time is when we ask for some topics for next month. It looks like new member onboarding was suggested. If there are any other questions, we've done new member onboarding a couple of times, but we are always willing to do it again because I think there's always something new that people could talk about. But yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions or there's any other topic you want to chat about, go ahead and drop that in the chat.
I said New Year's resolutions, but really like what is maybe the goal, the topic could be what does 2026 look like for membership? I feel like 2025 kind of threw me for a wrench a little bit of how much political stuff really affected membership that I didn't expect.
Yeah. I love that idea. I was kind of thinking that too, is like, what's ahead for 2026? What are the things you guys are thinking of changing or doing or whatever it may be for the
Or
new year
forced to
too?
change.
Yeah. All right. We've got renewal efforts. No. And again, I'm totally fine with repeating some of these topics. It's just a matter of if that's whatever you guys are most interested in talking about. Feel free to drop the
Maybe we could do a whole program on the use of AI and generating, membership, improving communications, soliciting feedback. I mean, there's so many things that we could be doing, and we could share best practices and ideas and offer platforms and all those kinds of things of, who's doing what with AI and what's working, what isn't working.
sounds like we need to have multiple membership masterminds roundtables next month.
Rickly.
Lots of topics.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's go.
Love it. All right, guys. So we've got AI, we've got the 2025, 2026 ideas, we've got onboarding. It looks like how to deal with your aging membership and attract younger members. Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. All right, we will compile all of these and make a note of them. And then we'll send out an email, ideally tomorrow, with a recap of this call, a copy of the recording, and then information on next month's session. Know that if we did not pick a specific topic for next month, we can always focus on that for January. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for the great conversation. Thanks for leading most of it since I'm sitting here in the background. If you guys have any questions or if you need anything else, feel free to reach out.